This is Never Gallimore from the Dallas Cowboys, and I want to give a major shout out to Mike Tag. Keep bringing the hype to the Cowboys Nation. We love and appreciate it. Now, can you dig it? Let's get it.
Hey, I told you guys! Don't go marrying just like that! Woo, all I've heard for the last 5 weeks is we want Dallas! So all you haters, you come down to me. You fuel the fire because I want it. Are you ready? Hey, you dig it?
What is up, Cowboys Nation? Your boy Mike Tag. You see, I'm refreshed and invigorated. The illness is finally gone. Maybe if I get talking a little bit, I have to get a drink of water. But I feel so much better. And how can you not feel good? It's getting close to that playoff time. Hopefully, guys, the audio is working. We're checking it out, and hopefully, you guys can hear me loud and clear. Give me a thumbs up if you can. But it's almost that time. We got that last week of the season, playoffs starting. I'm thinking, man, we gotta get this thing rolling. We gotta get the vibes going. We gotta get everything feeling good. So I had to reach out to one of my guys, partner in crime. We've been attached at the hip for I don't know how long. And so I've reached out to my man Kelly K-9. Of course, he couldn't disappoint. He had to accept the invitation to come on the show. And so I'm going to jump him in. I'm not going to waste no time, but always forget, I got to get better at it. Make sure if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. If you're not following me, what the hell's wrong with you? Make sure you do. And if you're not following Kelly, make sure you're doing that too. But we're going to get him in. We're going to get this thing worked out. I'm no expert, but we're going to get this man on here. My man Kelly K-9, what's happening, brother?
Hello there, Big Mackie Mac. What's going on?
I had to do a little. You see, I'm not a graphics guy. I had to get the little graphics going. I had to get the, for some reason, just by chance, you and I did the same pose. Maybe it was in the same spot. I don't know if you were just in front of Texas Live when you did it, but it looks good. So I had to copy it, and put it on there for us, man. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Good. The chat's on fire already. Whenever you're coming on, I don't know what it is. I mean, let's think about it for a minute. You and I don't know if you feel the same way or you get it. It seems like we're attached at the hip in Cowboys Nation. The yin and the yang, brother from another mother. So I remember way back when, I don't know how far you go back with me, but I remember, a long time ago, following you. And I think I've always told you, you say the stuff I wish I could say sometimes, but it's some of the job I have and some of the things I do. I got to be very careful of the language and some of the things that I do.
Yeah,
but I live for you sometimes.
No, definitely, man. You started off, and then I take it at the end to finish it off. You got the hype, and then I'm afterwards with the reaction, man. I feel like it's been that way for a pretty long time, and then we've always wanted to kind of link up. So that was the first step, was the first game of the the regular season, which is how we started the year. Not so great. Now it's all about how do we finish the year. And, what are we going to end up with? Like, is it going to be more disappointing like at the beginning, or are we going to, at the end, be holding some celebratory cheers?
No, well, we're going to get into that. We're definitely going to get into that. And, the chat's on fire. I appreciate the love. Adrian, my eyes aren't the best. I've warned you guys, Daddy from Merck's or whatever, shake and bake, they want to call it. We got a lot of love on here. And you always
seen MC. I seen MC in there. Megan MC. I seen her.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
you got to give
her a shout out.
I miss she always would make me laugh. I missed it, when you guys had that show. It was good. So let me ask you a question, because this is the one thing. Maybe sometimes I get a little jealous of you. Maybe it's justified. So I do the hype videos before the game. And we both know there's, 4 or 5 times I'm going to be dead wrong, and I get it pretty bad. You do the end of the game. So if we lose, you kind of got to let it out. If you win, you can you can celebrate. So do you think there's a difference in that before to after, game?
Yeah. Well, absolutely, because so I've done a couple of the before, you know what I mean? I remember last year, I had made a hype video for the Niners game, and then afterwards, I mean, I had a lot of people coming at me about that, you know, how wrong I was and everything. So, you know, but when you lose, man, there's times I don't want to make that video. It's tough, you know what I mean? It's really tough after a loss. After a win, obviously it's easy, but
Yeah.
after a loss, like when we lost to the Eagles, that I didn't want to do a video. I didn't want to come on and do one. I just wanted to continue drinking and just drink my sorrows away, man. So it's tough sometimes, man. But you know, you got to give them the perspective, man, and just kind of see it. You know, spit it how you see it.
Yeah, and some you know, David wants to know what you're sipping on. You got something in there. It's got some color in it.
Well, yeah. Here, hold on, right quick. We can do a little plug on that. That's some Gentleman Jack right there.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing
Yeah,
wrong with that.
nice
So.
long day.
Oh, hey, I feel you, man. I feel you. Just I don't know if you got the sick bug over the holidays, but man, I got knocked out. And you know, I watched the game, the Thursday game in Tennessee, and I was up in North Georgia, and I was just out of it. I couldn't even scream at the TV. I couldn't even do anything. It just kind of you're sitting in there and comatose stage watching the game. It's like nothing I'm used to.
Yeah, no, I agree. As I had I got that same thing though, the sickness, right? But I got mine right before the holidays, but I got the flu. I was down for about 4 days, and that hit me hard. I don't remember the last time I had the flu. I thought it was COVID, and I was like, oh, maybe it's got to be COVID, and then figured out it was the flu. But yeah, that was pretty nasty stuff.
No, I was the same. I tested negative and did all that stuff, and then sure enough, it was worse. I've gotten COVID twice, and
Yeah.
it wasn't nearly as bad as that.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy. I've known a few people that have got COVID this year, but I feel like everybody I know has got the flu. I know a bunch of people that have got the flu, especially in my family. So
Yeah,
I was like, well,
all
at least,
about that time.
at least
But we're
it's not
healthy
COVID.
now.
Yes,
Right.
we're healthy and ready to go.
We are ready to get this thing going. So you know, the chat line is great, and I appreciate it. Try to pop a lot on. I mean, I think you know, like I said, I think we've got a mutual appreciation for each other. Number one, and I think Cowboys Nation. I think what they love about you is the genuine passion that you have for the Cowboys, and that's something I have too. So, and I always tell people the beauty of social media and everything that's kind of happened is I've been a Cowboys fan, you know, stuck in my own little world in Florida. And now I've gotten to be able to kind of have a family, Cowboys family, going to the game and meeting a lot of different people. I don't want to throw all the names out because I'll forget somebody, but you guys know who you are. I've interacted with you, met you, hung out with you. A lot of them, you know, if we go to games, we always link up before for a drink or afterwards. So it's just been such a great experience to see that family. And even for you, we've met once, right? We've met once, but it feels like it feels like your family, it feels like your brother. And I think that's what's so good about this platform. It's crazy sometimes. Sometimes I want to get off this platform, but you know, I always remind myself, stay positive, hang out with the positive people that you have a lot of fun with, and obviously you're top of the list for me.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've made a lot of connections through Cowboys Nation, and it's kind of like a family. You know what I mean? You start meeting some of these people, you get to know them. You know, start to know personal things about them. You know, kids, relationships, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's one big family with one common interest, and it's the Dallas Cowboys and the pain that we all know of not being able to win more than one, a couple playoff games in the last.
And that's it, bonded together through the pain. That's what Joseph, he's dead on. And
yeah,
it is.
exactly.
And we're going to talk about the playoffs. So, the thing that, and again, you correct me if I'm wrong, disagree. I want to make sure we get our feelings out. The one thing that always concerns me a little bit about Cowboys fans, hopefully I don't get a lot of heat, is, man, if we don't beat every team by 20, there's something wrong. We got to blow it up. It's just like that Tennessee game. Now, the Tennessee game, if you look at it, we should have killed them. Let's just be, I mean, and on paper and all that, you should kill them. But let's take the game off paper. Cowboys played Philly, had a big win, short week. Tennessee is the Cowboys, and they were sleepwalking. But at the end of the day, they covered the spread. They beat them by 14. I mean, I don't know. I mean, do you panic if the Cowboys just don't throttle every team?
you know, it's not, I wouldn't say necessarily panic. I would say for me, it kind of gives me it gave me a little bit of concerns. I agree 100% with what you said in terms of like, you know what, they did what they were supposed to do. They got a win after coming off a really big emotional win with the Eagles. But you know, there were some things that I kind of wanted to see. Like I wanted to see us be that team that was gonna throttle somebody and be like, hey, these guys don't deserve to be on the same field as us, right? I kind of wanted to see that with the Titans game, and we didn't see that. And what we saw was some turnovers, which has been a disturbing trend. We saw more of that resurface. You know, we saw a little bit of sloppy play, and so that for me was cause for concern more than the point score. It was just kind of how the game played out, and for me, that just kind of gave me a little bit of concern. And it's just like, man, I really hoped we were going to come in here and just, you know, for better lack of the words, like bitch slap the Titans. But you know, hey, we don't have to, like you said, every win doesn't have to be pretty. But there's just some things you look for in each game. And for me, I was a little disappointed in what I saw.
No, and I get it, and especially when you get a game, you know, like Philly, and I always have to remind Philly fans just one more time. I've never walked out of that stadium disappointed when we played Philly.
Yeah.
I'm going back to 96 season, so it would have been 97. Never walked out disappointed, and I wasn't going to start, you know, that Christmas Eve. And the funny thing is with that game, Kelly, I wasn't supposed to go, and you know, I have season tickets, but it was on Christmas Eve. You know, I've got a family of 4. There was just no way that, you know, I was going to be able to swing it. And then, you know, Philly beat us really pissed me off. And I was like, dude, there's no way we're going to get swept. You know, we're going to go down there. I thought it'd be for the division. We laid the egg in Jacksonville, and, you know, that kind of ruined that. But about a few months ago, Des Bryant is my son's favorite player. And he was he does this signing out in the parking lot, meet and greet. And I was watching it. He's, you know, Des is probably the most beloved Cowboy who's never won a Super Bowl. I mean, the fans always just love him. He's genuine and he interacts so well with it. So I'm like, you know what? My kid's graduating. What do you get a kid for Christmas? He's 18. I mean, what do you put some toys under the tree? So I had this big surprise. I got the Des Bryant. I got him a ticket to meet him. And so I bought the ticket. And then I'm like, well, I got to go to the game. So I talked to my wife, and she's like, well, why don't we all just go? So now I'm in for 4 airline tickets, the Des ticket, hotel. I had to get a car. Had to buy my son something to get signed. So then I get the helmet. So now I'm in for this whole big, you know, package. And then 2 weeks before the game, I get an email. We had to cancel the Des Bryant appearance. And so I reached out to the guy. I'm like, oh my God, dude. I said, I planned this whole thing around this Des Bryant appearance. I said, I'm going to the game. I got and he's like, well, let me talk to Des and I'll see if, you know, maybe he can just meet you at the game. I said, look, man, I know where his suite is. I can have access to that area. So I said, I'll sit out there and wait for it. Just tell him to say hi to my son. So, you know, it thought it'd be cool, but it didn't happen. I'm okay with it. Cowboys won. I know, you know, things canceled. It was a freezing day anyway, so probably would have got canceled anyway. But that's what happened. But the only saving grace was we went in and we beat Philly because I bought tickets for Tampa. I got tickets for Tampa ahead of time. My son has not been a bad luck, but he was there at the Raiders game. He was there at another game we lost. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, I don't know. Maybe my son, he's not going to be allowed to go to this Tampa game if we lose. So he feels good that we won. So it worked out. He's allowed to go to the Tampa game.
There you go, man. Hey, that's a lot. That's a lot of things it was a lot of work, and you know you had a lot of plans that didn't go right, but the main one went right, and that was the Cowboys walking out with a win.
Yeah, no,
keep that win streak alive, baby.
Yeah, no, it was good, and so let's just kind of go through the season. Let me just see the chats. You know, MC laid an egg in a few we should have won. I want to get into that. So absolutely, you know, good points. And I'm gonna, you know me, I try and be positive. I don't want to, you know, I know so many of this is you want to get, you know, and I'm gonna let you kind of correct me and you straighten me out because sometimes I get, you know, those rose-colored glasses get too much. So I look at the losses. So Tampa, you know, that was bad, right?
Yeah, I agree.
I think it was a bad football game. Both teams sucked, and it was the first game of the season, and we lose Dak. So, At that point, I know you put out a video and you were just kind of and the season's so long. I think I had you on to try and
Throw the
build
season
me up
away.
or whatever,
I would
but
throw
you're
the
done,
season
right?
away. I was done. I was like, man, we might as well just tank for get the #1 draft pick, man. This season's over.
Yeah. So then we go to Cincinnati, and that was the game. And hopefully, if I get any of these games wrong, you guys can correct me. But I'm going off memory. But I think it was Cincinnati was week 2,
Yep.
and I ended up going to that game with my wife. wasn't supposed to go. I was supposed to go to Washington, but we had our kids had homecoming, so we had to go ahead and do that. So went to Cincinnati, beat Cincinnati with our backup when no one said, and that's in one of the clips you'll see. That was one of my videos I did after the game. Don't go Baronish just quite yet. And so that was a big win. That was a big win. And then just kind of move with our backup. He goes 4-1, right?
Yeah.
So you're feeling good. You're feeling good so far. We lost to Philly. That sucked. But we had our bad backup quarterback and in Philly. Okay, we'll give that. The loss that probably stings the most. So that gives us 2 losses. One of the stings the most to me is Green Bay. I don't know how you feel looking at the losses this season. Up 14, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
You finally get that monkey off your back, and they just collapse in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, that was a painful one just because I think in general most Cowboys fans have, Aaron Rodgers PTSD. I mean,
Yeah.
shit, how many times has he ripped our hearts out, man? And this year I'm like, we got him. I was like, we got this son of
In
a
his own
bitch.
crib.
Got him. Yes. I was like, we got him. I was like, the route is on. We're going to kick his ass up. I'm like, because we had done it, I think, one other time. I think we did it their rookie season, Dak's rookie season. They won in Green Bay, and they won that one pretty convincing because then they ended up losing in the playoffs to him. So it's like, Aaron Rodgers just kind of haunts my dreams sometimes, which is like, I can't stay. I want to beat him so bad. So, yeah, that one really bothered me because, we blew the lead. The offense played well. They've done that now a couple times, though. The offense played great, and the defense was nowhere to be found.
Yeah. No, and that was one I'd say, because, that's got to go on that. It's got to go on the defense. You got a 14-point lead, and then they throw the stat out. The stat is Dallas was like 180, 190, and 0. When leading by 14 or whatever it was in the 4th quarter. So, but then I think Minnesota was right after that. Was Minnesota after that game where they blew Minnesota out?
Yeah, I think so. Because I feel like with every I know with every loss we followed it up with a win. We don't have a losing streak yet this year, but it feels like every time we lose and we have like this bad loss, we bounce back and we have something good happen, or like, totally takes away from the week before.
No, it's and you go into Jacksonville. So I was at the Jacksonville game, winning that one easily. I think it was 27-10, maybe something like that at one point. Feel pretty good, and you can check back at the tape. And I don't know how you felt before the season started. I said that playing Jacksonville late in the season, I wasn't comfortable with. I said, this is a team that's young and it's going to get better. I'd much rather play them earlier in the season. I said that about them and the Jets. All right, the Jets maybe hadn't worked out because of their quarterback, but Jacksonville is a team that I felt was going to just, Trevor Lawrence, and they got some young guys, and they were going to get better. I didn't feel good about that game going in, but then you're up 27-10. You're like, we got it. We'll go ahead and cruise this one. We'll go ahead and get it going. And the thing you'll notice, I really rarely tweet much during a game unless it's, touchdown, but I don't talk crap because it'll come back to get, it always come back to get you. So I almost, when it was 27-10, because I had a little bit of a self-made by the other person Twitter beef with somebody. Somehow my name got dragged in, and I gave the guy his 15 minutes of fame. And instead of message me after the game saying, "Hey, good game. I appreciate you getting me noticed and this and that," he told me to F off and blocked me before I can even respond. So I almost was going to say something there. I said, you know what? I'm not going to do it. Thank God I didn't. But that game was another one, you lose in overtime. And so you look at these games. You lost to Tampa. You lost to Philly. You lose to Green Bay, and you lose to Jacksonville. 2 games in overtime. They really haven't had what I would call I don't want to say an embarrassing loss. Now, maybe you could
Yeah.
say losing in the fourth quarter, but it's not like they've gotten a Minnesota game, like Minnesota just happened, what happened against Green Bay or us. They've been in these games. They lost 2 of them in overtime. One was with a backup. One was in the first part of the season. I think they're 5-1 against teams with winning records. It's funny how the media doesn't talk about that anymore. They don't talk about the Cincinnati game that we beat them with our backup. They don't talk about Minnesota. We smoked them. They don't talk about when Philly beat us, they beat us, but then when we beat them, it was because they didn't have their starting quarterback, but it didn't work the other way. So the thing I guess what I'm saying is your thought. This team, it just seems like they've got some resiliency, they've got some toughness, and I feel much better going into the playoffs than I did last season with a team that was coasting along and really wasn't battle tested. I think this team's been a little bit more battle tested with some of the injuries and some of the things they've had to deal with. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I look at it and I'm, there's one part of me, man, that's kind of like, always a little hesitant to go all in, man. I tweeted about it the other day. I was like, when it feels like been kicked in the nuts for 27 years in a row, eventually you're gonna buy a cup for protection. Like I need
like
something
that one
video. I need something to protect my heart. From the other instance, though, I look at it. We haven't lost 2 games in a row this whole year. Every time they've lost, they've bounced back and they've looked impressive. And there's something to be said about the fact that McCarthy's been able to piece 2 double-digit wins in a row that hasn't happened for a very long time. And and I feel like this team, they've built off of some things. So, I'm just really hoping, man, because if the team that we've seen show up in some of these bigger wins and several moments where the team is like, not only have they shown up, they've risen in the moment, they've shown they can be clutch and win these close games with pressure-packed moments. If they can just carry that into the playoffs, I feel like just one win in the playoffs is all it takes, and this team could get on a roll and be one of those teams that just rolls right through to the Super Bowl. That's what I'm hoping that happens, but in the back of your mind, there's always just kind of that, what if this team gets down early? They don't get in that rhythm, because they kind of seem to be like a rhythm team. They got to kind of get that momentum going. And once they get it going, they steamroll. But, I don't know, man, there's just a part of me that's nervous, but I definitely feel good about the team. I feel, I feel like they don't have a lot of weaknesses. And I feel like they're rounding into that more complete team. These younger guys in the secondary getting experience, I think, is going to be huge. Them getting the experience versus them going down in, say, week 17 or 18, where you got 1 week to prepare for the playoffs. So, I'm feeling optimistic.
No, I agree. And in the chat, David, the O is saving, the team right now. The defense just needs to, get things going.
They are, yeah.
We've got to get, we've gotten pressure, but we're just not getting those sacks. Minshew threw the ball away, I don't know, 10, 12 times. That's a smart thing to do. He wasn't holding it. He just get rid of it, not to take the sack. But the one thing you said is something I've talked about. So the Cowboys, only the Cowboys, right? Only the Cowboys this happens to. You get the playoff scenarios. So we're either playing Tom Brady, which I think is likely probably going to happen. If Philly loses, the best other scenario I think would happen is we'll get the 2 seed. I don't see San Francisco losing to Arizona at home. I just can't see that happening. Now, maybe crazy things happen. They get the 1 seed that if it does. But so Dallas for them looks like they'll be the 2 seed or the 5th seed. So what do we get with the 2 seed or the 5th seed? We're going to get Tom Brady on the road, or we're going to more than likely get Aaron Rodgers in Dallas. The 2 probably quarterbacks, if you had to choose, and I'm not saying I'm afraid of any of them, if you had to choose, you probably would stay away from either one of them. Right?
Yeah.
So who do you, if you had your way, do you want the 2 seed, or would you rather be the 5 seed, go on the road, or would you rather be at home against Rodgers?
Man, that's tough. In the end, man, I kind of feel like that. Obviously, I would like to get Aaron Rodgers, but I feel like AT&T is like his second home, man. The dude just don't play bad there. So I almost feel like I would rather go on the road and be the road warriors and let's just do this. Let's do what we got to do, man. Let's go on the road. Let's slay Tampa Bay. Let's go on the road the next week. Take on, eventually that road will lead to Philadelphia if they make it that far. And then honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I hate Philadelphia, but I would love to see a Philadelphia Dallas Cowboys NFC title matchup, man. That's my dream. But and have us just duck them in their own stadium, NFC Championship. Because I'm telling you, for the next 365 days, man, Philly fans ain't gonna be able to tell me shit if that happens. So I mean, I want that, man. So I'm gonna have to say go on the road, man.
Yeah, and the only thing I would say to that is, and I bought tickets for Tampa, so maybe it's best for the road. Otherwise, I'm probably get screwed out of more money. I'm a fan of the highest seed. Now I know someone said about jinx. Someone tweeted there's a jinx. I looked it up. If you're the 1 or 2 seed, you go to the Super Bowl 70-something% of the time.
Yeah,
that's pretty high. That's pretty high. And Dallas on the road, 3 road games. So if you got 3 road games, this is the road games more than likely, unless something crazy happens. But let's just say all the high seeds win. Tampa, Philly, San Francisco. That's your road to the Super Bowl. Now, the one thing you said, and give me your comments, give us your comments too in the chat. Would you rather be that 2 seed or the 5 seed? I'd be curious to get your guys' opinion too. But the point that you made is something I've said before. I think regardless of which one it is, Rodgers or Brady, both of them, the pressure is going to be on Dallas. The pressure on either game is going to be on Dallas because we're the better team. We should smoke them. Can we get over the hump? All this stuff is just going to be talked about all week, especially with those 2 quarterbacks. It's going to be the replays of 3rd and 19, the replays of the Dez catch, the replays of Tom Brady going down the field and scoring and beating us and all this other crap. That's going to get replayed over and over and over. But Dallas wins. I think they roll the rest of the way. I think it's almost like that Steve Young, get the monkey off my back when the 49ers finally, you got it. I think, and then they go into the Super Bowl and they absolutely destroy San Diego, which we figured they probably would anyway. But I think it was like 55-10 or something like that. I think the pressures is so high that when they win, it'll just, I think they're just going to unload and go on a run, like you said.
Yeah. I mean, all it takes is 1 win, man, to give a young team confidence, a team like that. Because let's face it, the Cowboys, outside of a few key spots, the Cowboys got a pretty young roster, man. They got some young cats on there, and they're playing good. And Micah is. Parsons, I feel like, is one of those guys who kind of like, I've said it a few times. He's like the Michael Jordan of defense. Like when he's playing at the top of his game, it's like that defense just rallies around him, and everybody starts playing better. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it, man, because like I said, I feel like if we can get that playoff win, that first one, the monkey off your back. Yeah, I can see that. I can see the Cowboys going on a run. Absolutely.
No, absolutely. And I think Tampa, if when we play Tampa, I think we'll be favored. I think we'll be small favorite, but I think even though the home team gets 3 points, I think we'd be a field goal or more favorite over Tampa. I love Tampa. I love their fans here. They make me laugh. They win 31-24. They're getting beat most of the game. They finally get some stuff together, throw a couple touchdowns, and all I'm seeing is they're back. They're hot. There's they beat a 10-loss team, for God's sakes. I mean, let's slow it down. Slow it down a little bit. I mean, they're not back yet. It's the same thing that drives me nuts to the Giants. The Giants throttle the Colts. Well, who hasn't? All right, let's get that out of the way. And they're the hot team. The Giants, they lost the week before. Where's the hot team? I mean, the only hot team that I would be legit about, and it kind of irks me because people forget Dallas is 7-1 in their last 8 games, but I guess that's not hot. But Green Bay is about, Green Bay and Jacksonville, if you're going to say hot team, those would probably be the only 2. If you're going to go off the legit hot team moniker, that would be pretty much it for me.
Yeah. No, I agree with that, man. Green Bay is a team that got it rolling at the right time. But, it's funny because I was seeing something about them. It's not even really that Rodgers is playing, like lights out. They're playing really good football. They're running the ball well. They're playing a complete game, which is funny because, like, if you look at the Cowboys, when the Cowboys play a complete game and don't have any lapses, I mean, I when I look at them, and I've seen some teams play complete games this year. I've seen the Eagles do it. which I can't take anything away from. They got a really good squad. I've seen the Eagles do it. I've seen the Chiefs do it. I've seen plenty of good teams do it. But in my opinion, the Cowboys, when they play at the top of their game on all three phases of the ball, there's nobody better. Nobody. I don't think anybody. There's not one team out there I don't think we could beat. Throw the Chiefs in that mix too. I think we could beat the Chiefs, all of them. I just think we've got a really great team when they play up to potential and don't kill themselves and hurt themselves with stupid shit.
Now, hang out. We got a caller. I opened the phone lines.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully he's legit. What's up, man? We got a caller?
Yes, sir, you do.
Kelly, can you hear this, man?
I can, yeah.
What's up, brother? What's your name?
What up, Big Cal? This is Dave Medina.
There you go. You said you were going to call. You're a man of your word.
I don't mess around, bro. I don't mess around.
What's going on, man?
Feeling?
I'm good, man. How you guys feeling?
Well,
Thanks for doing this. This is pretty badass.
No, well, getting Kelly on, I said, you know what? I'm going to figure this phone thing out. Sometimes on Monday night, Jimmy D and I try and do it, and something will flub up. I was going to have my son be the board up. I said, you know what? No one's going to call. But a lot of times people don't call. They'll say they do, and they don't. So I was like, I'll handle it if someone calls. I put up the phone, and I see this phone call coming through. I'm like, shoot, I better answer it. So I appreciate it. So what's your feeling on the Cowboys? Are you all in? You concerned? What's your takes going into the playoffs? All right,
so here's the thing. We kind of talked about this on Twitter today. We were kind of back and forth, all three of us. But here's my personal opinion. I think this team can compete with anybody offensively. I think that we get in the playoffs. I think we're going to be, no matter what's going to happen, nobody's going to run over this team. It ain't happening. This team right now, Dak is playing too well, even though he's got his little turnover situation going on, but he's overcoming that, which is even more scary because if he doesn't throw any picks or anything doesn't happen, that makes it even more scary. I think the big determining factor with this team right now is we all know is the big elephant in the room is the defense. If the defense can step up and stop the run, they can stop the run. That's the biggest key. If they can stop the run because teams we're going to play in the playoffs, they're going to run it down the throat. Yeah. Especially the Niners, Philly, Green Bay, even Green Bay right now. If they can stop the run and that defense can get hot, I think this team sails through the NFC right now. I don't even care if it's the Niners, especially after what I've seen from the Niners last week. I think they sail through the NFC, and I think we might be Super Bowl bound, boys.
No, I'm with it. So Kelly, I'll ask you to chime in too. So you're getting Hankins back, you're getting LVE back, you got some. Yeah. It looks like there's some troops coming back. Yeah. They're going to be about as healthy as they can be. Obviously, they got some guys gone for the year that they're not coming back, but as guys who can play, they're coming back. Does that make you feel better about this defense? Because who would have thought that the defense would be the concern at the end of the year?
Yeah, well, absolutely. It makes me feel better because, LVE was having a hell of a season. When he went down at the time, he was leading the team in tackles. So, the dude was playing really good. There's a lot of people that have given him a lot of shit, and I feel like don't really give him his props. I myself, man, at the beginning of the season thought he may be a guy that gets capped and be gone. So, I got to eat crow on that because I think LVE's had a hell of a season. Not enough people really accredit him with that, but he was really doing good. So having him back is going to be great. Having Hankins eating up some space in the middle, that's going to be good. They have that phrase where they say sacks come in bunches. I feel like we've hit a little bit of a dry spell, but if these sacks start coming in the playoffs, shit, throw in the towel because it's over, man. It's over. There's nobody that's going to be able to compete with that pass rush. It's nasty. And then you ain't even got to worry about the run game because, if that pass rush is going and then the offense keeps clicking like they are, teams ain't going to be able to run the ball. They're going to have to throw the ball. And these guys are pinning their ears back and coming for you. Yeah, nobody wants to see that.
No, I think it's good, man. And I appreciate the call. And you make sure you message me. You get a Cowboys Nation t-shirt. You send me your size. Hopefully I got the right size. But it's a good luck shirt. It always brings victory. So make sure you message that way you have it ready for the playoffs. But I appreciate the call, brother. You're a man of your word. You said you were going to call me on Twitter, and you did.
Hell yeah, boys. Hell yeah. Hey, go Cowboys.
All right, man.
Good to hear from you, Dave.
All right. There you go. See, maybe I need to get Kelly on here. He's the one who, you get these calls stirred up. So able to work the kinks a little bit. You get calls, you figure it out. But no, to the point of the defense. Uh,
Yeah.
you lose Anthony Brown, and he was the guy who took a lot of heat. He was the guy that all the fans kind of beat down and this and that, and he's gone, and we missed him a little bit, right? Kelvin
Yeah.
Joseph didn't step up an opportunity. Bland's been phenomenal. I mean, he's got to be in at least conversations with defensive rookie of the year, 5 picks.
Yeah.
Wright got a pick. They've gotten beat a little bit, so that seems to be the Achilles heel of the defense. Do you think they're going to be able to mass that up, going into the playoffs?
Yeah, you would sure hope so. And like I said, though, in my opinion, everything goes back to that pass rush, though, man. If you start getting that pass rush going, that helps your secondary. I mean, you've got guys that can play more aggressive if your pass rush is getting back there. We just haven't seen him being able to do that lately, which I think emphasizes, a weakness of the Cowboys, which has been the secondary. So you get that pass rush going, I think everything all that solves itself, because then you've got guys like Diggs who can, play a little bit more aggressive, Bland. And yeah, you'll see some good things out of that. If we I feel like everything predicates off us getting that pass rush going, and I think it's coming. It's coming.
No, and it's something Michael Irvin's talked about, and I'm been a Miami Hurricane, grew up in South Florida, so I grew up in the God, it seems like forever. My Hurricanes, my Cowboys. Maybe it's me. I don't know. But in the good old days, the one thing, Santana Moss, I know we always say, big players step up in big games, make big plays. And in the playoffs, that's when it means the most. You need to have Parsons, you need to have Diggs, you need to have Tank, you need to have Dak, you need to have Zeke, Pollard, CD. Those are your playmakers. Those are the guys, those are your top dogs. And they've got to be the leaders of the team. You can't have Noah Brown leading the team in receptions and yards in the playoff. You ain't winning. CD has got to be what CD has been. And I don't know your thoughts. When you jump in on CD, because I just mentioned his name. I don't know if I've seen a better run at receiver for the Cowboys since I don't know when. Maybe Dez is that 1 year where Dez went off. I think 2014 or whatever it was. I mean, talk about CeeDee Lamb and what he's done.
Yeah, I mean, really after kind of a little bit of a slow start, and then, he had that one big drop that I feel like he got criticized a lot for, but literally in the same game came back and had a huge play downfield. I feel like since that moment, man, he's been locked in. I mean, 100% locked in. There was people that were, I seen, people among Cowboys Nation that were like, well, is CD a number one? Is he a legit number one? There was people questioning that. They're like, we need to go out and get a legit number one wide receiver. I think there's no doubt CeeDee Lamb is a number one wide receiver. I mean, he's shown it in every way. He's made some huge catches. When he gets the ball in his hands, big plays happen. He's an electric player to watch on the field, man. And you just, watching the confidence in him. I mean, it's almost like he's hitting another level right now. He's, it's like he's unlocked that next gear. You see him trotting across the line and he's tucking his chain in right before he goes for a little touchdown grab. I mean, he's got the swag going on, man. He's got the confidence, and I mean, he's playing as good as anybody at receiver right now. So yeah, I love to see it, man. The connection between him and Dak is definitely getting it's something beautiful to watch.
Yeah, and you're you come from that conference in college. You saw him probably play a lot more than I did. I'm more ACC and SEC in the South. It just seems like from what I saw in the highlights of Oklahoma, it's like that's the player, right? He's getting the ball in space and he's just creating yards after catch, making people miss. And that's something that maybe we hadn't seen, especially earlier in the year, maybe some last year. But, sometimes you got to give the guy a little bit of a slack. You think about his career. He hasn't been with Dak that long. I mean, Dak was out for 5 games this year. I think his rookie year, Dak didn't play at all. So he's had a little bit of some issues, with consistency at quarterback. But, I mean, 100 catch. He's over 100 catches. I didn't even realize that. I mean, he's putting up, and forgetting the last game, let's just talk 16-game season. You want to compare apples to apples. I mean, he's only the third Cowboys receiver to do that. I mean, that's not something that you see normally
Yeah.
in Dallas, and he has just been
Yeah.
he's been unstoppable. And what I love about him is they can move him all over the place.
Yeah.
And now you get T.Y. Hilton, and talk about that. The man earned his money against Philly. I don't
Automatically.
think he catches another ball.
Automatically. Yeah. You can get his paycheck just off that one play.
I mean, how was that at home watching that? I mean, stadium, it was 3rd and 30. I mean, I'll be honest, it was a little like, man, we're in trouble. I was like,
Yeah.
I think it might have been 8 minutes or something left. I
Yeah.
mean, we're in trouble. And then this ball and it was right kind of in front of our view. And my son and I were next to each other, and it was just like hugs and screaming. And yet it was probably one of the best plays live that I've seen of that importance and magnitude in the game.
Yeah, I mean, everybody in the nearby vicinity, inside or outside the house, heard me on that one, man. I was like sitting there going 3rd and 30. I'm like, man, I said, we're not getting this shit. I damn near have expected Kellen Moore to run a fucking draw play on 3rd and 30. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, we're not even gonna, or we're not even do anything. And then Dak drops back, and the ball is in the air, and I'm sitting there thinking, I don't know, man, this is probably gonna be an overthrow. He's just throwing it away or whatever. And then right when they're showing Ty, I'm like, oh shit, he's got a chance to catch this. And when he does, it's an explosion of emotions, man. It was a perfect pass though. I mean, it was laid out there. And it was a huge catch because, I mean, you think about the magnitude of that play, Ty, first game plan. I mean, for him, I feel like, it was just like a routine catch. He's just coming out there like, this is what they brought me in for. This is what they brought me in for. And then followed it up the next week with having like 50 or 60 yards and a couple of key third downs. And it's, I mean, he's been a nice addition so far, man. So good pickup, man.
He's been a great pickup and just a great teammate. Great, you could just see the energy he brings, and you almost like, you saw James Washington get cut. I mean, we probably figured that was going to happen. I mean, they're getting other guys back. So, I mean, with Ty, it was just a numbers thing more than anything. And I think with, I don't want to beat Tolbert down anymore. I mean, it's been a year of that, but they're not going to cut him. I mean, it's kind of like, it seems like a redshirt year for him. I've seen that kid in college. I've mentioned before, my friend's son played for that South Alabama. He was a quarterback. So I watch more games of South Alabama than probably would normally ever watch any other South Alabama game. So he stood out. And I just think maybe he's just having, he had an opportunity to go to Alabama. He could have transferred to Alabama, and he probably would have been a first-round pick easily. And but he stayed committed to South Alabama because he said that's where he committed to, and he seems like he's a kid with a lot of character. So I'm pulling for him. I knew they weren't going to cut him, but James Washington wasn't doing much. So I like the receiving core. The running game. Let's get into the running game going into the playoffs. See, Pollard hurt a bit.
Yeah.
Do you get sucked into the who's the starter and who's not? Or hey, man, just enjoy this. You got two great running backs. Let's just enjoy the ride.
Absolutely not. Not even a little bit, man. I have been begging for the last 2 years and sitting there telling people, man, and I don't feel like a lot of people disagreed, but I've been like, man, when the Saints had that great run game working with Kamara and Ingram, I mean, I can't count how many times I've said that. So we have a Kamara and Ingram situation in Dallas. We just got to use them. I was like, I mean, because in my opinion, Zeke's the Ingram in that situation. He'll get the tough, dirty yards, and when you need him, and then you throw Pollard in, and he is just electric as you can get. You can play him, run the ball with him. You can play him out of the backfield as a receiver. Like, you can do so much with Tony Pollard, and Zeke being one of the best run blocking running backs in the league. That's the thing of beauty, man. And I feel like a lot of people take away from that when they talk about who should be getting the ball more. Like, just enjoy the fact that we got two great running backs, man. I mean, two really good running backs that bring different aspects to the table that you can utilize. And it's a nightmare for defensive coordinators. I love watching it, man. I don't care who's in. I'm never like, man, put Pollard in the game, because I know Pollard's going to get his opportunities and he's going to do what he does with them. And Zeke's going to get them tough yards. And yeah, I mean, I love it. I think it's a great thing. And honestly, I hope that there's a way that both of them can be back on the team next year, because, they're a good combo. It's a good duo.
Yeah, it sounds like, from what I heard, that I think there's a strong possibility. Obviously, they don't owe Zeke any more money.
Yeah.
Nothing's guaranteed. So they may do something like they did with Tank, give him kind of a guaranteed year, shorten the years up, guaranteed
Yeah.
kind of thing, make it seem, like a good contract, but fair to everyone. But I agree. I don't understand it. Let's see. Zeke said today that he feels fresh coming in the playoffs. The 1-2 punch, yeah, and getting Pollard in there. The only thing I'll say is there's sometimes I wish that they'd have Pollard, and then sometimes I wish they had Zeke inside the 5. I want to see 21. I'll be
Yeah.
straight up. I mean, I do get a little frustrated when you're inside the 3-yard line and Pollard's in, then they decide to run some gimmick play or something like that, man.
Yeah.
Don't be, it's like Jimmy Johnson used to tell Michael Irvin, don't be cute, be good.
Yeah.
Zeke's got a nose for the ends. Just, we don't need to be cute. Just, hey, score the touchdown, be done. It's the same thing with Pollard. Get him on the outside and just use that speed. And it's a deadly combination. And I don't get sucked into it either. I mean, you're talking about, who starts. Well, put him out there to get one carry the first start of the game. Does that mean he's a starter? I mean, they're splitting about 50-50 now. It seems more than ever. And Pollard, he's such a weapon. I like having them both on the field. I just think it's just, the more you can get them on there, I think they create mismatches. So we're on the same page there. Last part of the offense we want to check in on is the tight ends. So, I mean, how exciting is it with Ferguson and Hendershot? I know Hendershot, that he had a bad play. We'll let that one slide. But they, what a great find in the draft to get those 2 tight ends.
Yeah, no, they've got a hell of a tight end room right now, man. I mean, obviously, the 2 young tight ends we'll have still next year. I don't think Schultz is going to be back with us. I think he'll go somewhere else. He's going to command some money, and I don't think the Cowboys are going there with it, which honestly, I don't blame them because I think that they've got 2 great tight ends right now. But the fact that we have 3 right now that you can do a lot of things with and some interesting formations with all 3 of them in the game at the same time. And they're all 3 pass catchers, provided that Dalton Schultz can actually catch the ball because he's had a little case of the drops this year. But yeah, they've got a good tight crew, man. So having those 2 young tight ends that they've got on the cheap for the next, they're on rookie deals, both of them for the next, 3 years. So it's exciting, man, because I think those guys add a definitely another dynamic to this offense that makes us dangerous down in the red zone or key 3rd down situations.
No, absolutely. So let me ask you this, because I've asked other Cowboy fans when I see him, to make sure if you feel the same way I do. Do you get nervous when Dalton Schultz has the ball? Do you scream, just get down, especially when players start to surround him? It seems like he just fumbles every time he's fighting. I don't know. He probably doesn't do as much as I think, but I'm nervous every time he has the ball in his hands.
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely was. Mine usually is more when they're to him, and I'm usually just sitting there like he's wide open, and I'm like, okay, catch the ball. Because I mean, he's had a couple of like really big, like just kind of like wide open, could have been a touchdown, just boop right off, and I'm like, what in the hell, man? Like, that's some crazy shit to have him watch. But yeah, he definitely makes me kind of nervous, to be honest with you. A lot of the Cowboys outside of CeeDee Lamb and I guess probably T.Y. Hilton make me nervous when they're going to catch the ball. I feel like in practice they got to teach like if you don't think you're gonna be able to catch it, just bat that shit down in the ground. Because it's like they've got this thing, a hot potato, where they're like batting the ball right to the DBs. I feel I saw this thing where it was PFF and they were talking. They said that Dak has the most interceptions that are not QB, that are not on the QB, basically interceptions that were, and it's a stat that they just started tracking this year. I think they track way too many stats, but I agree with this one though, because it's kind of like baseball. You know what I mean? If you got a pitcher that's dealing and the hitter line drive to first base and the first baseman drops it, that shouldn't be on the pitcher. Same thing with the quarterback. If he throws, that dime that he threw to that pass he threw to Noah Brown should have been caught. There's no way it should have. It bats it right into the, to the DB's hands. So that shouldn't be on Dak. He's been very unlucky this year. I think they said he's got 6 of his interceptions, maybe even 7, that have been caused by plays like that. Just these weird, fluky, goofy plays that end up in the hands of the DBs. So now the talk is Dak's, he's interception prone, which I don't buy that. You know what I mean? He may take a little bit more chances, but I don't think that Dak's an interception machine, so.
And the Dak, so that was, the offensive line we can get into a little bit, but I mean it's pretty solid. I think they've been very fortunate. Every time they get an injury, they've got someone to fill right in, and
Yeah.
it's I mean it a blessing. I know Tyler Smith was
Yeah.
they were blasted, and the Cowboys draft and their scouts were destroyed for drafting this guy. And
Oh yeah.
the thing I'll say is the Cowboys, for the most part, and I don't want to hear Taco Charlton. I was there for that draft. I want to hear that. Take that one out. We don't want to talk about that one. The Dallas Cowboys, I've been very. You can't knock their drafts. I mean, as far as back as I can remember, they've been. I mean, they've done pretty well in the draft, especially with some of these late picks. But even the first round pick. I mean, Zach Martin. They didn't like that pick. Frederick, unfortunately, his career was cut shorter than usual. They hated that pick. The Cowboys just seem to get killed on some of their early draft picks, but they've done pretty well in the draft. It's never going to be 100%, but they're at a pretty high rate of guys that contribute, on this team.
Yeah, well, I remember saying when the draft happened, and I remember all the talk. I remember all the people talking about how horrible it was. He had the most holding penalties for his team. He was Tyler Smith. He all he did was hold, and I'm sitting there going, man, if I'm going to trust any team when it comes to drafting an O lineman, it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys, because we have drafted some great offensive linemen in the first round, and we've actually drafted several that have panned out outside of the first round. Man, Terrence Steele, look at him and how solid his play has been. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys and their ability to scout and draft these guys on the offensive line that fit into our system and do what we need them to do in that run blocking game. I mean, I feel like we're the best at it. So, I was kind of like, hey, let's take the wait and see approach. I'm not sitting here saying the guy's going to be a, Pro Bowler, but I was like, I'm not going to say it's a bad pick. Let's see what he can do. He looked like a mauler, and, all he's done is come out and play, phenomenal ball on that left tackle spot when he didn't get any he didn't even get any reps in, practice and preseason. He was playing at left guard. Then, Tyron Smith gets injured, and they hey, we're kicking you out to left tackle, and he has done nothing but, protect Dak's blind side and done it pretty damn good. So we got to be ecstatic with what we've seen out of that.
No, I agree. And I want to jump to Dak, but we talked about the offensive line, so we'll just finish it with this. And Dave's got a good question. He wants to know, what's your guys' best O-line right now? I mean, if you got to get 5 guys, what's yours looking like going in the playoffs? If, let's say, Biotish is healthy, right? He's got his ankles. So let's say he's back ready for the playoffs. What are you rolling with?
Well, definitely Biotish. Frederick, Tyler. I'd keep Tyler Smith out at the left tackle position. Peters, man, I don't know, man. He hasn't done little right tackle. I don't know, man. That's a tough one for me, because I just feel like
I'm thinking Tyler Smith, McGovern, Biotish, Zach, and then Tyron. And then you got Peters. I think that's your unit that's been together most of the year together. If I'm wrong, someone correct me. But that's off the top of my head. Again, I don't study everything, but off the top of my head, that's what comes to mind first. I think they're all healthy because I think McGovern, right? They moved him to center when Biotish went down. They slid Tyler to guard, and they put Peters in at tackle in the last part of the thing. But that's also kudos to the Cowboys coaching staff. Again, Cowboys fans, let's not forget that the day that we had Chaz Green. I was there for that game, and we made Adrian Claiborne. We made that man a millionaire because of the stubbornness of the previous regime, and that's where I give this coaching staff. And this is what's gonna happen, Kelly. You and I will probably talk till 2 a.m. because I get on another tangent. This coaching staff, what they've done, and you look at McCarthy and what he's been able to do with the injuries, especially the offensive line. And I go back to that game, and I can't remember what game it was, but they moved Tyler Smith around when the one guy was just who was his name? Ball was getting killed. And the last drive, I believe they moved Tyler Smith or Peters. They did something. And that last drive, Dak was able to get down the field and we won the game. It was a game-winning drive. I can't remember the game. But had that been the previous regime, they're so stubborn, they just leave the guy in there and let Dak get destroyed because I think Dak threw a pick and we had a fumble, and it was all caused by that side with Ball.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. This coaching staff has shown that they're not just going to stick with the guys that they've got on the field. They're not too proud to admit if they've got a guy that's in over his head, and you've seen it with when they had Kelvin Joseph. He got his shot. Next game, riding the bench. Like we're not putting him out. Take him out of the game. We're not going to let this dude continue to be a liability on the field. They've done it with several positions. So, and they've had a lot of injuries, and you always hear the that phrase. It's the next man up. This coaching regime has done a great job at doing that. From Tyron Smith going down to Dak Prescott going out to, just Van Der Esch, the list goes on and on, man. Tons of injuries that we've had this year. They just keep plugging people in, and you may see, a little bit of struggling, but then next thing you know, it's clicking, and you're like, damn, they made it work. So they've done a great job at that, man. They don't get enough credit, I feel. Mike McCarthy, I don't feel like gets a whole lot of credit for the job he's done, and I think he's done a pretty damn good job.
No, and I was a Mike McCarthy supporter when they hired him. In Green Bay, I mean, he was successful, and I think what his personality is for this team is what this team needs. And you got Jerry Jones, and we can go on Jerry, and we can talk about Jerry, and we all know what Jerry's not going to shut up. He's always going to be out there. He's always going to be line. He's gonna have that attention. Mike McCarthy don't care. He just wants to coach a football team. He's able to just take that distraction away and not let it get into this football team. And that's why I talked about culture. And I think he's created a much different culture than you had with Jason Garrett. I think the players respect McCarthy. I think they like him. I think to your point, he's made tough decisions. He's done things that he's needed to do to win football games. He's not afraid to bench someone. They're not afraid to cut someone. You think about his tenure here, the first year, obviously losing Dak the whole season, the COVID. People underestimate that COVID year, his first year, and you have no interaction. I mean, we all did it with work. And I mean, I got to be careful because I don't want to get in trouble. But I wanted to go crazy, for lack of a better word. I wanted to say something worse, but sitting at home or doing Teams calls and doing. I mean, imagine being a football player and you're trying to practice. So what he's been handed, and then to get back-to-back double-digit wins, something that hasn't happened since the 90s. And people forget. People just have short memory. This team was ripped apart beginning of the season. This team's not good. This team's going to stink. This team's going to do it. This team doesn't have talent. This team, you got rid of Cooper. You got rid of Gregory. This team is on the downward spiral. Then they say, now here we go. Another 12, more than likely 13-win season after we finished with Washington. Yep. And now it's, Dak's got all this talent around him. Dak, it's like, dude, come on, man. It's like they can never give the man his due, and it's frustrating. But I just think, and he doesn't care, right? He doesn't. All that crap that they had with Sean Payton in training camp, and he's getting interviewed. He just whatever. You guys, I got a job to do. I don't care. And I just think he's just the right personality for this team today. And it bothers me that he just gets destroyed all the time between some Cowboy fans and, of course, the media.
Yeah, I agree, man. He does get a lot of grief, and but man, he's in the biggest spotlight, and Dallas is the biggest spotlight. I don't care that New York may have the larger media market. Dallas is the spot that gets the most criticism. I mean, you look at every show, every morning show, whenever. I mean, hell, they all start out with the Cowboys, and the Cowboys win. They all start out with the Cowboys again, and everybody's always like, I was talking about the Cowboys, or like, it's because people love talking about us. And I mean, Mike McCarthy's kind of one
know
of
where
those
their
guys that
bread's
just doesn't
buttered.
really give a shit. You know, he's just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
They know where their bread's
I mean,
buttered,
he
these
just,
guys.
you
They're
know,
no
yeah, exactly. And then McCarthy doesn't really care. You know, he's just kind of taking in stride, and he's like, you know, he rarely seems phased, but when something goes wrong, you know, it ultimately falls on him. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter who it may be on. If the defense plays like crap, it's, you know, hey, McCarthy was bad in his situational plays, and this, you know,
Yep.
so it's always going to fall back on him, you know, fair or not. It's just kind of the you know, the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, well, it always starts, and you know, in my job, it was funny. I ran into a Cowboys fan, and he's like, "Man, my buddies, we all talk about you, and we all are trying to figure out what you do for a living." So, and so I said, "Well, I'm in sales. I'm in sales. I've been in sales since I was 20. I moved up to Tampa. I've been doing it 27 years." And it's funny. Some of my customers, they see the videos. That's why I say I always got to be kind of careful. But people know me. I'm a positive person. I have a good time. I don't mean anything by it. It's all in good nature. And but in my job, you know, I'm responsible for sales. Now the economy can collapse or this or that. Ultimately, it all falls on me, and I know that my job's at stake if things go south. And it's the same thing with McCarthy. Injuries, you know, whatever it is, bad play, it's all going to fall on him. So, you know, Gabriel brought up a question, and I was going to get into it later, but I'll ask you now. So, what would be a successful season, and who do we blame? I'll let you go first, and
All right.
my thoughts.
A successful season for me. I mean, the easy answer would be Super Bowl, but you know, if I'm being realistic, I would have to say that the NFC title game, I feel like anything less than that would be a disappointment. I feel like if you make the NFC title game and for some reason we were to lose that game, I think you'd have Cowboys fans willing to give McCarthy a little bit more rope on that, you know, on that leash, and you know, give him another year to be like, hey, maybe we can. He got us the NFC Championship game. Let's, you know, because you saw what happened with Green Bay. It took them a few years for McCarthy to get them rolling, but once they got rolling, they were a steady contender in the playoffs until finally they got over that NFC Championship game, and Rodgers won his, you know, his first and only Super Bowl under Mike McCarthy. So, you know, I feel like that NFC title game would be for me a success for a season. I think anything less than that, and you know, the questions start rolling about Sean Payton again. Like I said, fair or unfair, I think they do. So
Yeah. No, I agree. I've said it all year. This team is too talented not to make a deep run in the playoffs. And and I think what's a disappointment, it's how they lose. If they go, you know, obviously if they lose in the first round, I think it's going to be a very bad it'll be a very bad situation in Dallas.
yeah,
It's going to have to be some heads rolling. Team's too
yeah,
talented.
yeah.
And you know, even though Tampa's a higher seed, Dallas is head and shoulders better than them. That's just my
Yeah.
opinion. I think Green Bay were better than them. That would be a
And
home game. That would be devastating.
yeah, and think about this. What's funny was what you just said, and but it's the reality of it is we can have a head coach, who's literally on the hot seat after having 2 double-digit winning seasons, and he could end up getting fired if he doesn't get past the first round of the playoffs. I mean, it is not out of the realm of possibility that Mike McCarthy could be unemployed if he don't get out of the first round of the playoffs. And
No.
you know, you don't see things like that in other markets. Because I mean, if this was in Cleveland, they'd be throwing parades. They'd be like, you know what, we you know, we want 10, you know, 12 win seasons, 212, you know, back to back, you know, double digit win seasons. And, you know, in most places, I should say,
Yeah.
that would be looked at as a success. But with the Cowboys, they look at the talent that we got on the field and they're like, one and done is not good enough. You know, we got to get to a Super Bowl and take advantage of this team while they're young. We can't let this window close on this team. We got to take advantage of it, capitalize it on it now, which is why you see some of the urgency in the Cowboys and them actually making moves that we during the regular season that we haven't seen. They may not have been huge splash moves, but getting the Hankins, you know, not just staying pat, going out getting a T.Y. Hilton, you know, going and getting some additions to this team. shows some urgency on this Cowboys front office that they know what it is.
Yeah.
They know the score.
And I, so let's say they win, we win the first round, go to the second round divisional. I think that one is how the game comes out. If they go to San Francisco and they lose 30-27, it's kind of a tight game, goes back, and it's a heartbreaker. I think that may be easier to swallow, to not blow things up. If they go to Philly or go to San Francisco and they get dog walked or something embarrassing happens, then I think there's going to be just so much on it. It's unfortunate, because I'm just one of those guys of players play, and big players, like I said, got to step up in these games. And I think if there's a knock, if you're going to give a knock to Dak, if you're going to give him a little bit of heat, it's and you could say it on a couple other guys in the big games, which are the playoffs. That's how you judge, especially a quarterback. They just haven't been great games. And I was at the San Francisco game, the playoff game, started off just like they very bad, slept walk, and then woke up in the end. But you can't do that in the playoffs. Too little, too late. I mean, that you have got to get rolling, and you got to make it happen. And I think that's what this team needs to do. I'm happy that they've got to play for something Sunday. Now they're playing Washington. We didn't even get a chance to get into Washington. They're playing Washington. Washington's going to start their rookie quarterback in his first start. You got to think that with our backups or with guys playing half the game, we should beat them. I mean, there's no excuse. If a guy's a little nicked up, a Micah Parsons, I might be more inclined to go ahead and sit him. Dak had that hyperextended knee. I think he's fine, but I don't know if I play him a whole game. I want them to play, and I want us to win. But let's get out fast. Let's get a big lead. They will crumble. They'll be the tee times are set for them. They got nothing to play for but pride. And that's where I hope Dallas does is let's get fast. Let's start fast, light them up, and then, rest up for the playoffs and get going. I mean, what's your thoughts on this game coming up Sunday?
Well, I feel like that for, anybody on the Cowboys team right now that I feel like is nicked up, banged up, should continue to rest. I don't need to see Pollard in this game. I know, they're talking about him working himself back from an injury. I don't need to see Pollard. I know what we got in Tony Pollard. I don't need to see him in this game. I feel like if you want to play Zeke, that's fine. But I feel like let's go out there and get off to a good start, put a couple scores on the board, let the defense, get a couple stops, and then, hopefully we can rest the starters in the second half. I don't really think that we need to get a bye week. Obviously, we're playing for something here, because we're going to play to win. I don't think we need to stroll out there and take this game for a joke. Yeah. If the one seed's on the line, you play to win. But I think that, if Pollard is questionable, I think you can still win this game without him. So I'm thinking, a couple of guys like that, you give an extra week of rest. But the rest of the starters, get in there, kick some ass, put your foot on them early, put your foot on their necks early, and then, get out of there, and hopefully you got a big enough lead. You can pull some starters in the second half, and let's move it on and get some momentum rolling into the playoffs. And hopefully Philadelphia, for some miraculous reason, I know they're 2-touchdown favorite here against the Giants, but that the Giants come out and pull the miracle of all miracles and knock off the Eagles, because, man, it would be great to see them in their season on a 3-game losing streak.
Well, hey, let's talk right now. Now let's be fair. I think you and I both agree it's probably not going to happen, right? It's probably going to win. But let's have fun. If that does, I mean, how much fun is Twitter going to be, and how much in hiding are these Philly guys that ran their mouths all year about how they're the best record, they're going to be undefeated. Then it was they're the best record in the NFL. Now that's gone. This gone, and then they lose the division that they had,
Well, I mean, just going into the Dallas game, you had some of these Philly fans talking about, this game don't matter. It don't matter. They were basically, they knew they were already, some of these guys were conceding the loss already. This game don't matter. And then after the game, that game didn't matter. We're clinching next week. We're clinching next week. We're going to win this game next week against the Saints. And then they lost against the Saints, and now they're sitting there like, well, it ain't no big deal. We still got it locked up. We're rolling over the Giants, I hope their players and that whole team and Nick Sirianni, I hope they all got that same attitude. I hope they all feel like that. Take the Giants for granted and hope, that the Giants come out and just play the game of a lifetime, whatever. I don't care if they have starters sitting or whatever. Let their backups go in there and beat the Eagles. I'd love to see that, man.
It would be heaven sent. I don't know if there could be a better Sunday besides Dallas Super Bowl. And it's not that I care about the Eagles. I don't. It's their fans. It's their fans. And they've been chirping and chirping and chirping. And I tell people, I'm not, and shout out to Game Time Brian. I was on his show. I mean, great show. Put your link down if you want. I think, Kelly, you were on their show too.
Yes, sir. Yeah. What's up,
Yeah,
Brian?
they said they're going to have you on after. So, yeah, good guy. I mean, a lot of fun, a lot of passion. Love passionate Cowboy fans. But it would be nothing sweeter than seeing that happen, just because they've been chirping at their mouths and had to hear so much. And then, of course, when we beat them, and I'm not afraid. I'll be honest, I'm not afraid of Philly. If you're going to you're going to stack up these teams. Philly is not high on the list of teams that I'd be worried about if I'm done.
No.
I'm more worried about the 49ers, and I ain't got a third string quarterback. I'm more worried about the 49ers than I'm Philly. I think Philly's tailor-made for us.
And it's that's the thing too. It's all about matchups. In the playoffs is matchups, what you do well versus what another team does well. And yeah, I do. I think the Cowboys match up good against Philly. I think that they're I think that that's a matchup that the Cowboys win. If they play 10 times, I think the Cowboys win it 8 or 9. I do. I think they with a healthy squad, with Dak healthy, I think that they just exploit that Philly secondary, man. Dak was just, he looked like he could not throw an incompletion if he tried to against that. And it's looked like that for the last couple of years. It looked like that last year. Dak just has Philadelphia's number, plain and simple, and bring them on. Yeah, I'm definitely not scared of Philadelphia. Not at all. No. That's why I say my dream scenario is us meeting them in the NFC title game, because I absolutely think that we would dog walk them. And I'm telling you, I'm going to turn into the most absolute worst troll for Philly fans, because they're going to hear from me, man. They're going to hear from me a lot.
So let me ask you this, as big passionate Cowboy fan. So Dallas goes to the Super Bowl. I'll tell you, I'm not spending that much money to go to a football game. I'll be honest with you. I don't think I could look myself in the mirror, look my kids in the mirror, if I dropped the money on a football game like that. But would you go to the site? Would you, I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking, you know what? I might just go, and just for the experience. I've never had that experience, and
go to Arizona.
Something you do, or would you rather just chill in the home and watch the?
Well, so I've actually had a couple thoughts in mind, honestly, because one part of me would want to be like here with my family, because man, my kids and my they all come over. They know how passionate I am, and they don't sit there and watch the games. They're just they're not huge fans like that, but they are fans. They're Dallas Cowboys fans, and when the games get bigger, they'll sit and they'll watch them. Like they watched the whole Philly game. They've watched some of the bigger games this year. And when the playoffs come, though, they're absolutely locked in, because they want to see the Cowboys win a Super Bowl. They know how bad I want them to win a Super Bowl. So part of me wants to be here, but I've also thought about flying down to Dallas and going to hang out with Cowboys Nation at maybe Texas Live or something. Because there's going to be a huge party down there. So, but yeah, I think going to the Super Bowl would be something, to check off the bucket list. And if you could do it when your team's actually playing in the Super Bowl, is even better. So I think that'd be pretty cool.
It would be cool. Unless they want to do a GoFundMe for me, Kelly K-9, to get a seat at the game. We can work something out. But I know for me, and I think Game Time Brian, he can get them for face value. If you can get a couple more for face value, let me know. But going to it's just, man, I see. And what would the cost of the tickets be if the Cowboys are in the Super Bowl?
Those tickets are going to be insane, man. Yeah, insane.
it's I just don't know if I don't know if I can do it. But
And
hopefully we have that. Hopefully we have to cross that bridge and make that
hopefully,
decision of what we're going to do. So,
hopefully.
um, man, this show has been it's been a lot of fun, and I appreciate all the chat and obviously whenever you're on, you bring the fire and the passion, and like I said, it's truly an honor. Being linked to you, it's nothing. It's nothing that I take pride in. I definitely take pride in. It's nothing I would be embarrassed about. Is when I'm seeing us at you and hey, this is you're like Kelly or something. I take that as a compliment. I think I just think we're just two passionate Cowboy fans having fun and just being genuine, with our care for the team. So I just, like I said, I'm a huge fan and enjoy all the stuff you do. You give me a lot of laughs. I told you my brother loves you to death. We were replaying the video when you told my nephew to grow some hair. I forgot what you said, but I got it on there, and we're talking about it today because I told him you were going to be on the show.
Well, let me just say, I know that the people out there, they're asking for a Jarrah. And I just want to say that Cowboys Nation is taking over. They talk about playoff fever. This is Cowboys Nation fever. Let me just tell you, the NFL, they're not ready for it. They're not ready for what the Dallas Cowboys, we're about to bring the pain. And Mike Tag over there is going to bring the hype. How about them Cowboys?
How about them? Here, let's get
And
you.
the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
That's what we're talking about, man. There's nothing better than Jimmy Johnson. We need to get him in the Ring of Honor. And make
Yes,
this
sir.
happen. But no, I mean, you do a phenomenal job with that. I don't know how you're not on NFL Network or something. Like I said, we gotta come up with a one of those cutouts and just have Jerry's face and just have your mouth in there going.
Yeah, there you go.
Because it is there's nothing like it. I told you I listened to 105 and Jerry's on there. I think it's Tuesdays on there in the morning, and it's gotten to the point where I say this doesn't sound like Jerry Jones. This can't be true. You sound like Jerry Jones. You're the real Jerry Jones, but it's awesome. I mean, it's definitely a gift you have.
Yeah.
And but like I said, we definitely got to do this again.
For sure. Absolutely.
And I'm a superstitious person. So, if we get this thing rolling and we get a little playoff run and we keep winning, you can't mess up the mojo. So we're gonna see how it goes. So you keep that line open.
Yeah, we'll roll this thing all the way into the Super Bowl. I'm just as much superstitious as you are. I know that somebody had asked earlier about the whole jersey thing and stuff, and they're asking I saw in the chat somebody had asked if we plan out the jerseys you wear on game day. Absolutely, I do, man. If I wear a jersey and they win, I'm not taking that jersey off till they lose. And then when they lose, take it, wash off the loss, put in another one in the rotation. But I've had the CeeDee Lamb jersey going on now 2 weeks in a row. Went for the Eagles game, had it for the Titans game. Absolutely going to keep the CeeDee Lamb jersey on. They win again. That's rolling into the playoffs.
And I'll tell you the jersey story, and this is where I have to owe an apology to Cowboys Nation. I was wearing my Emmitt Smith throwback. So we've been on a winning streak.
I like that jersey, by the way.
Thank you. We got to get you an 88. We got to finish the trio with J-Tuck for sure. And we're going to go out next season. We're going to hit a game. But so the Jacksonville game, I didn't wear it because I'd never been to that stadium. I don't know how things are. It's one of my favorite jerseys. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to get shit on it. I don't know how things are going to go, whatever happens. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to wear the jersey. So I wore a different jersey and we lost. And so I take responsibility. I apologize.
It's your fault.
It is. I wore, if you look at, you can look at you can look at pictures of me in the game. You'll see at the Philly game, I had the 22 back on to handle the business. So of course, Washington, I already told my wife, take it to the cleaner. I don't even let her wash it. You take it to the cleaners and get it professionally done because I'm not taking any chances of that bad boy getting ruined. It was one of my favorite uniforms the Cowboys wore, even though they didn't win the Super Bowl that year. Yeah. I just love that. I just love that jersey. So it's going to be represented against Washington. and I'm going to Tampa, so I will be wearing it in Tampa. You know, we'll handle that Washington business and go to Tampa, and we'll ride that bad boy all the way to the end. No
Yeah,
doubt.
I was looking at that jersey and I thought to myself, I absolutely got to get the Michael Irvin, man. When I was in high school, back when I was in high school, I rocked that Michael Irvin jersey. It had the painted numbers on the front and the back. I wore that thing until the numbers were so faded you could barely tell what it said. The Irvin was real clear as shit, but the 88s were faded as hell by the time I got done wearing that jersey. Yeah, man. Yeah. Those are some classic jerseys, though.
Yeah. I love, and the funny is, like, when I was a kid, so Michael Irvin growing up in South Florida, he went to St. Thomas, which is kind of like a rival high school. So I remember him as a little kid kind of going through the ranks and then at Miami. So I got to meet him and I got his autograph, and it's really the picture. I still have that picture. So it was 90, maybe 91, something like that. Or no, it had to been even earlier than that because he got drafted in 88. Must have been like 88, 89, somewhere in there because he was still almost a rookie. And the only thing I got was my hand. You see his hand and my hand. Why I didn't take a picture with him, I don't know why. So I still have this picture, and I got his face, and he's smiling, and all you do is see my hand in the picture. And I so mad about that. It was that one, and then I've told the story before about Emmitt Smith. I met Emmitt Smith in South Florida. He was doing a signing, and it was like $20. He was a rookie, and and my brother was with me, and you had to roll the film, you know, the old school 35 millimeter or whatever it was.
Yeah,
and my brother's taking all these pictures. I got pictures with Emmitt. I'm doing all this and that. I get home and my freaking brother forgot to wind the film. So he wasn't taking any pictures.
Oh, man. Damn. You know, I've not met any of the old school guys, man, but I tell you what, I'd love to meet Emmitt, love to meet Michael Irvin. And Troy Aikman too, for that matter. But it's funny because every time Michael Irvin is on TV, man, like he's the greatest, man. He is he is like the ambassador of the Cowboys, man. When he gets up there and he starts preaching on First Take, I don't watch First Take, but on Mondays I watch First Take just because Michael Irvin just brings that heat, man, and it's funny to watch him start. And then they start playing the gospel music in the background, and he's sweating on his brow and shit. I'm just like, that's the greatest shit ever, man. He is a great guy to have, man. Ride for your team, man. Awesome, love the dude, man.
The thing I'm thankful for most is that with the Cowboys, I've met Michael Irvin, great experience. I've met Emmitt Smith, great experience. Because when you get that bad experience, it kind of put a little taste in your mouth. So then Aikman. So I met Aikman. My brother is like, you see a lot of the memorabilia I have. My brother's he's the architect behind it. He will go anywhere. He'll walk on a field. He will do whatever. He can mingle in with the crowd. He's like one of those guys when we were growing up. So he knew where Aikman was staying. Where they were broadcasting the Tampa game maybe like, I don't know, 15 years ago or something like that. So it's like, hey man, let's go. So I brought a helmet. And I brought a Aikman college jersey. And I'm one of those who's, even though like you see this loud thing, I'm very shy and I'm very quiet. And so Aikman's coming out and there's like 15 people. And I'm like, all right, well, I just wait. And I'm going to wait my turn. I'm the only one with an Aikman jersey on. And all these other guys are selling their shit, right? They want to get his autograph and they're going to put it on eBay or whatever. So I have my helmet. I want to make sure I had my Cowboys helmet. And, my brother, like he's signing. My brother looks at me. He goes, "Dude, you ain't gonna get him. Give me what you want." And he just grabbed his college jersey, and sure enough, he got a sign. Aikman signed, stopped about 2 people before me, and walks to the car. And I was like a 5-year-old. I was probably 30, maybe 30 or late 20s at the time or whatever. And I'm like, "Hey man, Troy, what are you doing?" And he just kind of looked at me, and you can see he kind of said, "Man, I might have messed that up." The only guy with an Aikman jersey, all cowboyed up, and I was the only one not to get his autograph.
Damn. That's tough, man. That's tough.
No, it comes with it. I don't ever get mad at athletes. Like I said, I if I get autographs, I try and do it in controlled settings. That way, it's I don't want to be that guy pushing kids out of the way and trying to get a player's autograph.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you mean, man. I'm kind of the same way. I'm thinking like if I seen one of them one time, I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I could just walk up to one of them if they're talking to people and interrupt them and be like, "Say, man, can I get an autograph?" I'm like, you would have to be in one of them settings where they're already signing some stuff, and if I'm there and I could shout out to them, something and get it. But yeah, man, that actually is my I got what is it? Shoot, later on this month, actually, I think on the 23rd, I'm going to get a triplets tattoo. I'm getting the numbers 88, 22, and 8. So
very nice.
Guess my next little piece that I'm gonna put on me for the Cowboys. So
well, hopefully we get a six Lombardi on there somewhere once we get. I've been very hesitant to buy anything because I said, we're gonna win the Super Bowl. I don't want to buy a 5-time Super Bowl champion shirt. I'm waiting for that 6th one. So we're gonna make it happen. But again, man, we run an hour and a half. This is the longest show I ever had. But you make it go by so smooth. And again, when you get Kelly and I talking Cowboys, we'll be here till 2 a.m. We love the Cowboys through thick and thin. And that's why I try and tell you guys, man, we're all in. And there ain't no, there ain't no backing out now. You're on the bus or get the hell off. But we're Cowboys for life. And it's a sickness. I tell my friends, don't get mad at me. Call it what you want, but they're part of my life. And one day over a beer, next time I see you, I'll kind of give you a funny story about how they really part of my life and how much where I am today in a strange way is because of the Cowboys in an opportunity in my life. But anyway, we'll get into that another day. Otherwise, I'll talk about it for an hour. But Kelly, if you want to, I don't know who the hell don't know where you're at. I don't know if people already subscribed or follow you or this and that, but I'll let you just do it one more time before we head out of the show. Where can all these people find you? And if they're not following you already, there's something wrong with them.
Yeah, man. If you find me on Twitter at Kelly K-9, just look for Mike Tag, and I'm not too far behind. I'm right there in the vicinity. So Kelly K-9 on Twitter. I'm pretty sure most of these people that I've seen in the chat, I already know. I think most of them are already on there, recognize the names and some of the faces and stuff. So thanks for tuning up and tuning in tonight. Enjoyed reading the comments and stuff and then getting to interact some of that with the chats and talk Cowboys football. It's always a great time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, I appreciate it. You guys, hopefully you know where to find me, damn it. But, all you got to do at this point with either one of us, just Google Kelly K-9 Cowboys, Mike Tag Cowboys. You're going to find all you need to know, and you'll know where to find us. But we love it. Love the Cowboys. I'll leave you guys. I get a lot of heat because if I don't leave with the exit. So this is a quick one, but this was a fun one. I had to cut out some of the stuff just to protect because of the game situation didn't work out for us, but I still love the video. So Kelly, stay on. I'm going to end it with this. You guys have a great one. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Going to handle that business